Jesus, I'm deaf from my own intro. God, I can't hear anything. What's happening? And we're back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live from where else? Where it all began, in Arnie Stone's kitchen in Delray Beach, Florida. Everything old is new again. What's up, Ray Hogan? Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm down here in the thick of it. What's up, Sean? Good to see you, bro. What's up, Gary? What's happening in Northern Ireland? In Ireland. That's right, Lori Dawn. New Jersey Metal. It is New Jersey Metal Day, for sure. What's up, Larry? Hey, they say they're going to be there. They say they're going to be there at 10 a.m. on Sunday, Larry. So, what's up, Philip? Okay, the gang's all here. All right, I got nothing. I'm not scared. Not too scared. Rat Bones, what's up? Is that it, Rat Bones? Is it winding down, Rat Bones? The Rat Bones farewell tour. Stephen Oswald, what's up? The High and the Mighty represent. There you go. Oi, what's up, Chris? Good to see everybody. Got a great show today. We're going to be talking about this book. This thing, and this thing's like as heavy as a cinder block. There's a lot here. So this is going to be cool. Yes, Anthony. It is Jersey Metal today. It's Jersey Metal every day, bro. Yeah, that's it. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, The Texas Silver Rush, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Grunge and Grime Soap Company, and DTFM Vinyl Distro. It's coming to a close. The Rat Bones is stepping away from the spotlight. Rat Bones is going to be on the holiday show, and then it is farewell. So Rat Bones will be making his final appearance on the show on the holidays. When is it? On Christmas Day, excuse me. Christmas Day. Yep. There you go. That said, it's like a different pace down here in Florida, It's like I do the show, there's not like beeping outside my window and like people. What's hanging on the wall? It's our old mascot, bro. It's Jim, bro. It's Jim. That's it, bro. We're back in Florida, man. We are back in Florida. Yeah. What's happening in London, bro? Speaking of London, what is happening in London, Queens?
Hello.
How do I know you're in Queens and not London?
That's a good question. Well, if I point the camera one way, you'll see Citi Field. If I point it the other way, you'll see the U.S. Open.
Yeah, next you're going to tell me that, man walked on the moon and Stanley Kubrick didn't film it.
I heard things.
It's a lizard. It's Jim. It's one of our original show supporters.
Yeah, that was from the very first episode, I think.
Shit goes back, man,
200 and something episodes ago.
Yeah.
Remember when we were doing 4 episodes a week?
From here?
Yeah.
I was doing it right here, backed in the corner in fucking Arnie's fucking kitchen. This just in from Larry Kelly. In case anybody cares, I'm going to be working late at Bridge 9 store on Christmas Eve till at least 6, maybe longer. Anybody around here wants to come by, please do. All right.
I always knew Larry was one of Santa's helpers.
Listen, Bridge 9, man,
Santa has like the red phone, like for the wolf,
Yo, Steven, any trains get hit up?
Not today. No, unfortunately, we've had a few fatalities this week, though.
A few smushings?
A few smushings, yeah.
4?
3. Yeah, it's been a busy. It's that time of year. those are pictures I'll spare you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
But
Yo, you see what's going on down at the Bowery?
yes, in fact, very exciting, and it's been all over social media, and like I'm excited for Sunday because I haven't been able to get there yet, and it's pretty cool. And I think now,
Yeah.
look at that.
This is across the street from CBGB's.
Yes.
And I think it was Joey Ramone first for a couple years.
Yes. First it was Joey Ramone.
Right.
And then it was Blondie.
But
Yep, you should have both actually. Yes, it was Joey Ramone for I guess 2 or 3 years, and then Blondie for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, here she is. Hold on, I got.
And it's really cool. I mean, everybody's been buzzing about it, and of course,
yeah, this is what they buffed.
Yeah, see, that was a great one too.
Yeah, it was good.
Is that a Shepard Fairey
I was about
as well?
to say, did Shepard Fairey do this as well?
Because it looks like his color scheme for sure.
Yeah.
You know, that was that would
well,
come out
you would think it would say it because it doesn't really say it. Whereas on the new Bad Brains one, it's like you could see, like, right. Not only is he got credit on the right there, but Glenn Friedman is credited too.
Oh, that's actually a Glenn Friedman photo or series of photos.
It is actually. I think it's 2 Glenn Friedman photos. I think the shot of HR like this was a single photo.
Right.
I think the other part of it is,
That's pretty cool. I don't know who did the Joey one. Didn't look like a Shepard Fairey at all. That was a different style altogether.
Yeah. How long until some dummy defaces it?
Well, you know what? They did graffiti Debbie at one point, but they fixed it really quick.
Yeah.
People are savages.
Animals.
And
Animals.
There's a difference between graffiti and vandalism, and that's what vandalism is.
Who's to say what art is?
Paulie Porkchops.
Yeah, right.
You're
right. Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, this is really cool, and I'm excited because we're going to be there Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the perfect time to go get a close look at it.
Yeah, I want to say this, that if anybody's going to be at the show on Sunday, the free Bowery Electric matinee show, the Holiday Slamboree, we are going to be taking a big group photo in front of this in between bands, like one of those, like, what's that famous photo? Like, what is it called? Like Sunday in Harlem, the jazz photo?
I'm not sure the name of it.
You know the one I'm talking about? I think it's called Saturday in Harlem, where everyone's on the stoop.
Oh, okay. Well, I was thinking a lot like the one we did when we played the very last the A7 show.
Yeah, here it is. Ray got it. A Great Day in Harlem.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
What's up, Ray Hogan?
What's up, Ray? So we're going to be taking a big great, Sunday in the LAS. We're taking a Sunday in the LAS photo this Sunday. We're going to be talking about the show at halftime today with Gina and Lori from Women of the Pit. And we got a big show. It's the Holiday Slamboree. So come on down. Come on down.
Is it 7 bands? 7 bands.
7 bands. 7 bands. 2 stages. 3. All ages. Bring that friggin' nagging wife.
Our prices are insane.
Bring that nagging wife. Bring that booger-eating kid. Leave that friggin' dog at home. This Sunday.
And if you drink, drink.
And if you're not drinking, drink.
Awesome.
All right. Hey, man. Anything else?
No, just I think that's it. I think we covered all the bases.
Don't make me come over there and beat you with this, bro.
Yeah, that's a weapon, that thing. Look at
this thing. This thing is like.
Well, I gotta say, speaking of that book, is I've had the pleasure over many decades to meet Frank and to be in the photo pit with that guy, and the guy's been around for like forever. He shot everything.
Oh, we're gonna be talking about that in a bit, man.
This is awesome.
Frank White is iconic. He's been a staple.
Yeah, he really
has. You know what?
I
think it's safe to say that the heavy metal scene would not be what it is today without Frank White's contribution.
A lot of early hardcore too, as I recall. You know, I mean, he's got a good, I mean, a vast archive. So.
Yep.
All right then.
Listen, I'm glad that you're getting paid to be on the show today, but I'll talk to you later.
I better get back to work.
I'll talk to you later. Well, there you have it. The Hardcore Shutterbug. This is the one, the only New York Hardcore Chronicles live. We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Grunge and Gribe Sump Company. They're no longer a soap company. They're a sump company now. And DTFM Vinyl Distro. Looking for extreme music? DTFM Vinyl has got you, my friend. Located on 13th Ave in Fargo, North Dakota, we have the state's best selection of punk, hardcore metal, ska, oi, and more. Can't make it in? Shop online from anywhere in the country at www.dtfmdistro.com. DTFM Vinyl, where the policy still is and always will be death to false metal. Come on now. The Texas Silver Rush. It's a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rowley, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. That said, let's get it on. Let's bring our guests. Let's make sure everybody's okay in the chat room. Yes, Metal Edge Magazine and all that. Absolutely. Hey, Big Tony P. What's happening, brother? Thank you. My dad's doing okay. We're moving him tomorrow. You know, it's been stressful. Frank White is the king of New York. Okay. And we are just his subjects. Okay, let's clear the deck and let's bring on our guests. Here we go. Let me line everybody up here. Today's guests are the force behind the new book, Jersey Metal, A History of the Garden State's Heavy Metal Scene, Volume 1, 1969 to 1986. One is a world-renowned music photographer, author, and publisher. The other is an author, publisher, and musician known for his vocal work with the bands Hades, Nonfiction, Watchtower, and many others. Please welcome, coming at us from where else, New Jersey, Frank White and Alan Tecchio.
Hey guys,
good to see you, man.
Likewise. See you too.
Wow! What an incredible accomplishment. I really enjoyed it, man. You know, I really did. I know what goes into these things. You know, it's like I don't take this for granted. I know what goes into something, especially something this detailed, man. So you deserve a medal and a monument. You know. Let's start with you, Frank. Why now? Why now for the book? Like, what was the impetus? Like, why now?
Well, I had another project that I was working on, and that kind of got held up because of COVID. So I had this idea to do a book about the New Jersey heavy metal scene from back in the early days when it started to recent. And I just decided to call it Jersey Metal. This was back in 2019. And I wanted to have someone else come on board. I wasn't sure at that moment who I was going to pick, but through my last book that came out on Ronnie James Dio, I was able to get a hold of Alan Tecchio, and he reviewed my book. And I thought, after talking with him for a few weeks, that I thought he'd be perfect as my co-author for the book. And one day I asked him, and here we are, 3 years later, basically.
I think, and Alan, I want to get your take on it, but I think you guys make a really great combination in a certain regard. Because, Alan, I know, you worked, for a couple of years, your attention to detail, you were at the Aquarian, I read your stuff when you were with the Aquarian, and you have a great attention to detail and just really know the history. So how did you come into it, Al?
Well, I didn't really write too much for the Aquarian. I was actually just a delivery driver for them, but I worked at Steppin' Out magazine after that,
I
wrote there for like many years.
My apologies.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It was like weekly columns and a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of editing and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, Frank and I have known each other for many, many years. I had edited that Dio book for him because a British guy had edited it. That's where the publisher was, I believe.
Right.
And it was all like Brit speak. It didn't sound like Frank. So I just did it, kind of for fun and for free, and just gave it back to him. And that's kind of what I guess made him think, hey, this might be a good partnership. And we definitely bring different skill sets to it, but the same kind of perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. So let's cha-cha around a little bit as far as with background before we get into the book a little bit. Frank, how did you come up? Did you grow up in an artistic household? How did photography come into your life?
Well, I grew up in the 60s, and my mom was a photographer in the 40s and 50s. And so she had a lot of camera equipment as I was growing up. And one day when I was about 6 years old, she wanted to show me some of her photos that she shot on slides, but they were in a projector, and she projected them on the wall. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe what I was seeing at that time. I'm an impressionable little kid. And so she goes, how would you like to, if I could show you, how to work a camera? And I'm like, okay. So I started, looking at it, and she was showing me how to work it. And then, within a couple weeks later, I was taking a few pictures with it, and my mom just showed me the ins and outs of how to work a camera. And that went on for a few years. And during that time, I learned how to sell things as a child. And also I found music, and it was the Woodstock era. And I got into all those kind of bands, and I ended up just soaking all that in until I was able to go and photograph my first concert in 1975.
Now, I know I don't know if this is the first one, but I know one of the first shows that you shot was Zeppelin at Madison Square Garden. Is that right?
That's right. When I was 12 years old.
12 years old. Wow.
Yeah, I had 6 years experience of photographing people, and so it was fun. I was too. Back then, I was watching the Ed Sullivan Show, in concert, Don Kirshner's rock concert, and I see all the kids, on some of the shows, and I figured I wanted to be in that same situation, but I wanted to photograph, and so I heard on the radio that Led Zeppelin was coming to town, and so I made a plan to go. But I didn't want to tell my parents that I was going to a concert because I didn't think they'd allow me to go, and I didn't want to blow it. So I just made a plan up to take her camera, hide it in my leather jacket in a bag, and I told my parents it was school night. But I was told them I'd be in the neighborhood up at a friend's house, and my parents took me at my word, and I went up the street. And I caught the bus into New York City at the Port Authority, and I walked down to the garden, and I bought myself a single ticket, which happened to be down in the front part of the orchestra of Madison Square Garden. And I was, I had to prepare myself, kind of like as a kid, I was like looking around this place. The last time I was at the garden was for the circus. So it was my second time there, and I just
12
ready
years,
to
at
photograph the
12
show.
years old, man. That's incredible at 12 years
Yeah.
old, man.
Yeah, I
He
know.
didn't get caught. He didn't get caught.
These shots are great, man. These are
Thank
great
you.
shots, man.
I ended up moving up into like the first, second row area. There was an empty seat. I guess the people didn't show up yet, and I just shot what I could until they finally came, and I had to move back. And then I tried to photograph a little bit more from my seat, and it was an incredible night. You know, a show that just blew me away, and I wanted to continue doing this, which meant going through the same procedure with my parents, and that went on for a while.
Yeah. Let me. Okay, so Alan. Oh, you know what? You know what I wanted to touch on, Frank. Is it true that your first published music magazine photo was Jorma Kaukonen of Hot Tuna?
Yes, it was. I photographed them at the circus in Bergenfield.
Wow.
And within a year after that, I contacted Relics magazine, and it got published in the December 1982 issue.
I'm a big Jorma fan, you know.
Oh wow! They just played the Wellmont Theater here in New Jersey
the other night. Yeah, they played the Capitol in up in Portchester. I've probably seen Jorma, Hot Tuna, I've probably seen him. I kid you not, probably about 75 times.
Wow, I didn't know you were a big fan of that band.
Yeah, Jefferson Airplane at Jorma. As a matter of fact, the film that I just did, that's doing the film festival circuit, The Jews and the Blues, was the impetus of the film was Jorma.
Oh, okay.
And he was going to be in it, and I met with him, but the film took a different turn, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
Here, John Angeli says, "Please tell brother Alan that I love him." Hey, Alan, John Angeli loves you, bro.
Right back at you, Johnny.
So Al, how about you? Growing up, did you grow up in a musical household? How did music come into your life?
I was really like a new wave guy in early high school years, 8th grade, 9th grade. And then I had a friend, Rafi Agababian, who was super into metal. He had some older friends that were really pushing it on him, and he in turn pushed it on me. And I was sort of resistant at first, to be honest with you. But then I slowly started getting into it. And then I finally bought Number of the Beast when it came out, and I was just completely blown away. And it was kind of like no looking back after that. As far as singing goes, my mom was in the church choir, and we used to sit around with all my friends, just partying and singing, whatever. And I guess my friend Sam Helsel, who's in the book, he was in one of the first bands I was in, Prophecy. He encouraged me to kind of try out for his band. And that's where I started to kind of think maybe I could actually sing in a band. And, that's where it all started. What
was the first band?
Well, I think the first band was, we called ourselves Acheron. Actually, the first band, we didn't have a name. We called it SATO after the Ozzy song.
Oh, nice.
It was Acheron. And then we joined a band called Prophecy, Sam and I. He got into them first, and then he kind of brought me along for the ride. And after that, it was Hades was the first band I actually did an album with.
Sure.
My photos were on the back of that record.
That's right.
Except for Dan Lorenzo.
I'm looking for, I think it's, let me look here. Let me see. Because I know I love the old, let me just skip through here real quick. Here you go. Here you go. This is what I was looking for. So how did you guys, do you guys remember how you crossed paths? I mean, what's another thing that's great is you guys have been friends for so long, and that's really great. And here's a shot from December of '86. Do you remember how you crossed paths?
I believe initially it was Joe D'Angeli, right, Frank, who got you to take pictures of Prophecy?
Yeah, in the Milford.
Is Joe D'Angeli related to John Angeli?
No.
Oh. Okay. Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah, Joey was our drummer, and he's like, "We're gonna get Frank White," because Frank White was already making quite a name for himself even back then.
Right.
He's gonna do our photos, and that was the first time I think he posed a band rather than a live shot. And all of our photos were basically done by Frank.
Yeah.
And a couple of the photos I think are in the book.
Yep.
They're from the flyers.
Yep.
Gotcha.
We were trying to get a hold of the negatives because back then I just decided to just give the band not only the prints but the negatives as well, I believe, for the photo shoot. And as we were making the book, we asked Joe or somebody, anybody that was in the band, if they could find any negatives, and they couldn't. So we just went ahead and just used the flyer.
Let me ask you, Frank, because we're going to kind of go all over the place, but through this incredible career that you've had, how have you kept and maintained your incredible archive? Like I'm the kind of guy, like at this point, I got rid of, I can't carry anything around with me. I just a toothbrush and like a pair of, I'm good, bro. I don't want this stuff in my, like, how have you managed to sort of carry that archive with you through these decades?
Well, in the beginning, I had to hide my photos from my parents, so I would put them, neatly in a drawer, covered by some shirts or whatever it was, and through some paper, junk or whatever, and they wouldn't really bother to look in it because as I was growing up, I was a good kid, and so they didn't have to investigate me, and go through my stuff like many parents do,
Right.
And I just kept them after that in photo albums, and then that went into a file cabinet that my father bought me. And then after that file cabinet, I got like 11 other ones.
Right.
Yeah. So I just kept building file cabinet over the years until I got this a mass amount of file cabinets, and everything is in there from A to Z.
And I assume at a certain point, it became, you digitized everything?
No, I just digitized stuff as I went along because it's too massive to try to digitize everything, and I don't want to lose it along the way, and somehow if something crashes. So I just decided to, as people wanted photos from me through the magazines or record companies, book companies, or whoever, I would then scan photos that they needed, and then from there keep them in its own file, and then go on to the next request, and then that started to build up my backlog of digitized photos.
Great. Let's now I put something together with some pages of the book, and I think that it's a great opportunity to sort of open a dialogue here, and let's start with this. And one of the things that I really, really loved in the book is sort of the places, like the venues, these Jersey venues that I knew nothing about. Like here's this place, the Joint in the Woods, and it's just like, look who's playing here: Aerosmith, Rush, Ted Nugent, Tim Buckley. Return to Forever, and like what is all the, and what was the other venue that I mentioned to you, Alan? I was like, what is this place? And it had Deep Purple was playing there.
Was
the Sunshine the Sunshine Inn?
Yes, in Asbury Park.
So one thing I really love, and if anybody out there loves this kind of stuff like I do, is that it's just all these great clippings and lineups for from all these sort of forgotten venues. And one thing we talked about, and when I was talking to JJ French from Twisted Sister, we were talking about how in that era there was an incredible infrastructure of venues for bands to play. Alan, could you give us a take on that?
Well, I mean, a lot of these places were just a little before my time, but yeah, there definitely was. I mean, I can tell you there's some stories in the book, one in particular from Danny Muro, who was in White Tiger, just talking about, you know, the fact that their road crew didn't have day jobs. They all made so much money doing multiple sets a night, multiple nights a week. And they just lived like rock stars, you know, on a local level, because like you say, there was an infrastructure of venues for them to play and they could make money. Plus the drinking age was 18, which I missed out on. So your crowds were, in his words, that the crowd got kind of cut right in half as soon as the drinking age went up. So they enjoyed, you know, thousands of people coming out to see them on Wednesday nights and stuff, you know, it's a different world.
Yeah. And there was just so many venues, you know, for bands to play. And, you know, one band that comes up, you know, classically a lot is one of the all-time great sloggers of the scene is Twisted Sister. And here's just an early Twisted Sister shot. I don't even think D's not even in the band yet.
No.
Right?
Yeah. JJ French gave me all the photos. I went over to his place in New York City, and he gave me the promo photo and the offstage photos and a few live photos, and they were from the Sunshine Inn.
Yeah, so, there you go. And I think looking at the picture, I think JJ's the only one in that photo in the top that I recognize, right?
Yeah, everyone else left the band slowly through the early 70s, and then Dee Snider came in around 76.
Yeah. Do you, Frank, do you remember sort of any of these early clubs, going to any of these early clubs as a teen?
Well, in the 70s, I was photographing at Madison Square Garden, the Academy of Music. Then it became the Palladium.
Sure.
And then I went to the Beacon every now and then because back then I couldn't drive. I was too young. And my mom taught me how to take the bus and subway system into New York. So I decided to just go into New York shows until I was old enough. And also in the late 70s, I was working for Dunkin' Donuts right up the street from me in Bergenfield. And I met a guy named Carlos who was working as an assistant baker, and he had a van. And then he and me started talking. And the next thing you know, I started going out to shows with him. And at that time, my parents, you know, found out that, you know, I was into music and into going to shows. And so they allowed me to go with Carlos because they knew him because my mom worked at the store as well. And then my sisters ended up working there. So, you know, everyone was quite familiar with each other. So they were cool with allowing me to go with him to shows. Some of the shows weren't heavy metal. They were like Southern rock, you know, like the Outlaws, Molly Hatchet.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
You know, Charlie Daniels. We went to Grateful Dead. You know, Kings.
I saw those Grateful Dead pictures you took. Those are great.
I actually just sold 3 photos of the Grateful Dead to Warner Brothers for the early 1980s
Madison Square Garden box set. And which I told you I was at all 6 of those shows.
Oh wow. Oh, that's cool, man.
And the 81 shows, I was front row center.
Oh wow.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
I might have been shooting over your head, maybe.
Yeah, hold on. I
wasn't in the front row.
Here you go. And here's the proof. And there's actually proof.
Oh wow.
Here we go. At my fingertips here. Here are my 2 first row center.
Wow.
Look at row 1.
And it went ORAC.
Yeah.
That's how the orchestra letters were set up. And you were in the second section to the left, but dead center.
That's right. That's right. And you know, and I think, you know, we can all relate that back then you'd sleep out for tickets at the Ticketron outlet. You know, it would be a whole thing. You spend a weekend sleeping out for the tickets. You get the tickets, you know, and back then too, it was almost like a fair fair trade. It was like if you got there first and got online first, you bought your fucking tickets first.
Right.
You know, it wasn't fucked up. It was like that's how it worked.
Yep.
It's crazy. Anyway, and I just want to say that the first concerts that I ever saw was I saw Outlaws Molly Hatchet at the Garden. I saw Marshall Tucker Band, and all that stuff. Yes, Jethro Tull, ELP, all at the
Yep.
Garden. Because I grew up in the city, so it was
Yeah.
like the Garden was like the thing. But onwards and upwards. Another band that I found really interesting was this band Harlow. I didn't know very much about them, but correct me if I'm wrong. They seem to be a real product of that sort of early glam, like Slade, Twisted Sister. Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
Definitely. Also,
Yeah.
New York Dolls. I think with their look, they outbeat all those bands in dress. If you see the photos, they will look really super wild,
Yeah.
And like they were trying, you could see that they were trying to top everybody in look, number one. And they were a cover band, So
They were a cover band.
Yeah. They, I don't know if they had any originals. They might have, but a lot of bands started out as cover bands in New Jersey in the 70s.
Twisted. Yeah.
They were all copying, the bands like Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Slade, New York Dolls, all those early bands that inspired everybody. Mountain, and just wanted to get on stage like their heroes, and so they ended up doing that slowly but surely. But a lot of them would just be a cover band or a tribute band, and then slowly break up and went on to other things.
Look at the size of that guy's platforms in the back with the red pants. They're like stilts.
Yo, look at that fucking guitar he's playing on the bottom. That beautiful flying V.
It's Buck Kelly.
Yeah, he said, "Look at those, crikey! Look at those platform boots.
They're massively
high.
Yeah,
they were rocking it.
Yeah, and if you told me like this is like one of the first pictures ever of Kiss, I'd be like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, no, seriously, like you see the early Kiss stuff where they haven't really, like settled on the makeup yet. Like if you told me this was like Kiss's first photo, I'd be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Like Wicked Lester, that time period.
Yeah. Lori Dawn asks, is his chest hair shaved in a heart?
It looks like it is.
Yeah, it does.
It looks like it is.
That's great, man. That's great. So that's Harlow. You mentioned was it White Tiger you mentioned before?
Yeah. Yep.
Was that the band that no? Was Mark St. John in that band?
Mm-mm.
What am I thinking of?
Mark St. John, I think. We have him in a photo with with TT Quick, and he was with Kiss for a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know if he was with any other New Jersey band before that. I don't think he was in White Tiger, right?
I'm pretty sure he was not in White
maybe
Tiger.
I'm getting it. Vito Bratta was in White Lion.
Right.
And he was in the band Dreamer before he was in White Lion.
Got it.
And that's in the book.
Got it. Hi, Alan from Steppin' Out Magazine. There you go. Yeah. There you
Old
go.
school.
Yeah. So, just another sort of, I was just looking at, some of these, John, is that the casino in Asbury Park? Is that the old casino that was on the boardwalk? Okay.
Yes, that's all dilapidated now.
Yeah, I shot a music video there. So here's
actually it was that part of the when you walk down the boardwalk and it's right Ocean Grove and Asbury Park or connect right there.
Yeah.
And so the casino is like right in the middle, right at the borderline. And now, of course, it's just a shell of its former self.
Yep.
But back then, I remember going on the rides inside that area. There was an amusement part of it to the right, and then to the left would be the actual casino where the bands would play. But they tore that part down, and the part that remains is the hallway, and also the part that had the amusements, which is it's been renovated a bit. They had skate park in there for a little bit, and They had maybe some artwork being shown. So, you know, it changes a little bit over time, but I guess no one has enough money to kind of rebuild it into something worthwhile for people to enjoy, which it should be. They should actually make it into something, because, you know, people would love to go down there and do something else, you know, with their time while they're on the boardwalk there, you know, and I get that would have been a perfect place if someone, you know, just had the right amount of money and the knowledge of what to put there.
I directed a music video for the band Fury of Five, who are coming on the show in a couple weeks.
Okay.
But we shot the video for Do or Die in the old casino when it was all dilapidated, and there was still a stage there. It was fucking cool, you know. It was like really like post-apocalyptic. But I love the reason I pulled this is, you know, when I was in the High and the Mighty, we played the show place with Agnostic Front, so it caught my eye. But I'm looking at like who's playing the show place in here. Not only is the Tommy Bolin band playing, but left to my druthers, fucking Mahogany Rush was playing the show place.
Yeah.
And like, yo, I saw Frank Marino, man. That's a show in that era I would love to have seen. You know?
Yeah, I saw him once at the Giant Stadium and also at the Palladium in the late 70s.
You don't hear that name much anymore.
Right.
Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush. That's sort of like been lost in the shifting sands of time, you know. And
one of my photographers that I sell for had photos of Frank Marino from Hitsville, so we were able to put a photo that represented that show in there, and he provided us with a few other photos from Hitsville as well, Raven and Anvil when they were on tour, and Saxon.
James Hollis says Thin Lizzy. Yeah, Richie Blackmore and Thin Lizzy. Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, they're both in the book.
Yeah. Yeah. Thin Lizzy's a band that they used to play a lot, man. They were all like their records, you know, they were like a record, a tour. You know, Thin Lizzy did that for years, man. You know?
Iron Maiden does that. They always put out an album and then they tour. That's the way it goes, you know.
I love this, Frank. I get a feel that you guys love Blue Oyster Cult. Is that fair to say?
That was one of the bands that really struck my interest back in the 70s, and like it did with many other people, they were headlining, you know, festivals. You know, they were out, you know, doing those big outdoor festivals, and then, you know, the arenas back then, and I just got into them really big. So that photo represents myself with the red collar and my friend Richie, both kneeling in front of the paid customers of those seats, I think. Right. And a friend of mine actually photographed me before I even knew him and gave me that photo as a gift years later when I was working with him. And it just shows my friend having his cameras, had my friend Richie Napolitano, who is a drummer for many years, who's actually right now on a cruise ship drumming his heart out for the people. And myself, I just had my camera below me. And I guess we were kind of like, I was watching, you know, the show for a minute, you know, taking the camera away from my face, while Richie was kind of like looking at the banner that the fans were holding up behind him, which I missed over the years. For many years, you didn't see any banners anymore at concerts.
Yeah.
You know? Sure. And then all of a sudden you go to these Iron Maiden shows. Like recently I saw them when I went out to Belmont Park for the arena show out there. And they had like some banners all up in the front, you know, people from different countries representing. Yeah. So it's kind of come full circle.
That's cool.
It's such an amazing image because of that time period and the fact that, you know, it was right before I started getting like a rock haircut, let's say, and then I went to a perm and dyed it after that. So that was sort of like the original look for me, right as the 80s started to take off.
Alan, I'm assuming that you sort of collated all the material for this?
No, Frank and I did it together. Okay. I did the layout. You know, I'm the layout graphics guy.
Okay.
And I definitely learned a lot from this.
And I'm an artist. And I've always wanted to be part of a book or a magazine. So this was my big opportunity.
Good.
And so I gathered all the photographs, the images. Alan had some of his own personal stuff. And then we just I sent Alan all the photographs and images that we needed to put in the book, and then slowly, page by page, week after week, we started to slide in photos or ads right in the places what we wanted, and then we added the words and kept going for a year or two on that.
Cool, good stuff. Any challenges, Alan? Any sort of real big challenges doing the book, putting it together?
At the beginning, we thought it was going to be one book that went from 69 to 2021. So as we started really laying the pages out and giving the photos the credit and the size and the images, the space that it needed in the pages, we realized pretty deep into it, actually, that it had to be 2 books. And then eventually we realized it had to be 3 books, because this book's almost 350 pages. And the next book is going to be 87 to 04. And that's really like the meat and potatoes of the metal scene. So there's going to be a lot more content in the next book. It's probably going to be bigger than this book. So, I mean, we couldn't do a 1,000-page book. You know what I mean? It's already costing us about $50 a book to print these. And that's that $350. So we tried to keep it digestible, but it is still a great deal of content just in this book. So that was a challenge, just figuring out how to break up the years,
Yeah, absolutely. And let me just say, if anybody out there is interested, you can pick up the book at www.jerseymetalbook.com, and they'll be purchasing it straight from the source, right, guys?
Yep.
Yeah,
They can get
that's
t-shirts.
That's the way to do it. DIY.
Yep. We got t-shirts for sale there too.
Okay, good. This one caught my eye too. Alice Cooper comes up a couple of times, and this was an interesting era of Alice Cooper. I know, Frank, you shot him in 80 and you shot him in 81, right?
And I also photographed him in 75.
Oh, wow.
When I was 12. So in the first part of the book, you'll see Alice Cooper going up against a Cyclops.
Yeah, that's right. That's
off his head. Right. Yeah, so theatrical, so amazing to photograph. His songs were so cool. The show, always a master showman, always puts on one of the best possible concerts you'd ever want to go see. Always comes through every year I've ever seen him. This year that I photographed him in this time frame, his concerts, I guess, maybe didn't have all the dramatics that all the other years did, but still, Master Showman always, looked as crazy as possible.
As a matter of fact, Stephen Oswald, I see that you're out there. Do you remember Stephen Oswald? We went and saw Alice Cooper on this tour at a venue called the Savoy in Manhattan. It was an old Broadway theater. It was called the Savoy, and they did shows there. I remember Ozzy, you were with me, and it was the same tour. This was the Special Forces tour, I believe. Yep. Yeah, and it was interesting because I think Alice was sort of at a sort of kind of at a low point. I think his records weren't selling that well. His tours were, like you said, not that elaborate. And I remember we saw him at the Savoy. It wasn't that crowded, but it was just, we were like, wow, Alice Cooper, and he looked different too. And this is what he looked like,
I guess he changed the members in his band.
Yeah.
Also, he was drinking a lot of alcohol back then.
Yeah.
So that affected, his look and I guess some of his maybe performances. So he took a break from performing, I believe, after this tour.
Yeah.
To get himself straightened out, and then he came back a few years later. I captured his tour when he came back out. Like a big tour where he had like that guy Kane Roberts.
Yes, that's right.
Guitar player then.
Nice guy.
Yeah. Real nice. I met him backstage after the show.
Yeah, he's. I think he's playing with Alice again now. Kane Roberts.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Well, it comes full circle.
Yeah. We see him around. At Schiller a couple of times, and he's friends, with Alago. Michael Alago signed him as a solo artist to Elektra, I believe. Here's Sean. Sean asks, "What's the address of the book again?" Here it is. There you go. It's scrolling on the bottom there. So pick it up. This is another one that I just was like, wow, okay. One band that I would love to have seen when they were really grimy and you know, and in the trenches is the Joe Perry project. You
Yep.
know, are these your shots? Frank?
No.
No?
The bottom, the two shots on top were taken by two different people, but I got them through musicians. The top one I got from the singer Mach Bell.
Oh, sure.
For Joe Perry,
Yes,
and
of course.
the photo below I got it from the I believe it was the bass player from the band Harlot that was playing it. And the bottom photos of Twisted Sister, those are mine.
Yeah. Well, I think the bottom photos of Twisted at that point, they've sort of settled in and they're making a run at it with
Right.
that
This is when AJ just joins the band.
Yeah.
In 1982. So when the Joe Perry project, those two photos on top, those were taken in Bergenfield, New Jersey, at the circus. That was formerly called Circus, but they had to change their name. And so a few pages later, I went and saw the Joe Perry project myself, but it was a really tight show, and I only got what I considered one decent shot of him that I could put in the book, and so it's in there.
And not only that, but this was the Joe Perry project when they had Brad Whitford on second guitar for a minute.
But he was only there for a few gigs. Like, he didn't play when he didn't come around the second time when I photographed him in October. I believe this one was in April.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was only there for part of the tour. And then, but, you know, we had a part of Aerosmith, you know, in our town, playing at a little local club right on the main drag.
That's amazing.
Streets away from where I lived.
That's amazing. That's Anthony Mio, original Biohazard drummer, says, fearless Frank White, one of the best rock photographers bar none.
Good to see you, man.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's what's up, Mio?
Yeah, I photographed that band at CBGB's back in late 80s. Back then, Evan didn't have, I think, a single tattoo on him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And he was, I think, I got a photo. I shot him like at CBGB's. I think they were hanging out, and it was just Mio and Evan. I got a photo of them backstage. One of them, I think, one of them had a sanitation shirt on. And then within like, I don't know, maybe like within that year, I ended up photographing them at Lemoore, Brooklyn. Yeah. And then that later became when after Mio left, when they got their other guys in the band, is when I did their promo picture, which ended up on their T-shirts.
Danny.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
Right. It's the one where Evan's kind of holding his arms, you know, up to his body.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's see what else as we go. Well, you know, this is some rainbow stuff here. And I was, you know, Frank, I know that you've been really connected with Ronnie James Dio. Can you talk a little bit about sort of your history with Ronnie and because you've worked with him many times through the years, correct? And I know this isn't. I know Dio was not singing this particular song, right? I think this is
Jolyn Turner.
Right. But let's talk for a second about your connection with Ronnie James Dio.
Well, I started photographing him at his first U.S. show at the Beacon Theater in November of '75 when I turned 13 years old.
Wow.
And it was the same situation like I did at the Garden. You know, I had a ticket that wasn't front row. It was maybe about the fifth or sixth row. And I saw a chance to move up in the very beginning. As soon as the lights went out is when I took off for the front of the stage. Because that's when, you know, it's dark. People are just, you know, getting used to the darkness. And so I was able to just move into a seat and take a few photos when the lights came on. And, you know, Ronnie just impressed me from the very get-go. So I photographed the whole show. And then I didn't see Rainbow again till 1982. But when Ronnie came to tour with Black Sabbath, it was during like 1980. And that's when I went to see him again, and then I followed the year later, and then the year after that, and so on. And then later on, I was able to, go backstage, finally meet Ronnie and his wife, Wendy Dio, and we had a great meeting in the very beginning. And I just ended up going backstage multiple times at other shows and doing and other events, and then that led to doing a book on Ronnie way after he passed. And I actually photographed his last show when he played in Atlantic City, New Jersey, at the House of Blues. And that was, we didn't think it would be the last time we'd see him, but cancer took care of that, and that from there we didn't see Ronnie anymore. Yeah. So sad to see him on, and that's why I had to bring out a book.
Yeah, right on. Hey, Alan, favorite Rainbow singer?
Ooh, honestly, it's got to be Dio for me. After that, I would say Graham Bonnet.
I was gonna say, is he gonna pull the Graham Bonnet plug?
I'm a big Graham Bonnet fan for sure.
Yeah.
We have Graham Bonnet in the book.
I saw that. I did. That's why it was fresh in my mind. And boy, I saw Graham Bonnet with Alcatraz, and I was just blown away, man. Blown away. Yeah,
he's
awesome.
awesome.
It was the only time I photographed Graham Bonnet back then was when he was with Alcatraz, and got some nice shots with him and Yngwie, and we did like a full page in the book.
I guess Rainbow's had 4 singers. Yeah, Dio, Graham Bonnet, Joe Lynn Turner, and the singer they have
White.
now. Oh, Doogie White. Yeah, 5 singers.
Yeah.
Doogie White and the kid they have now.
Yeah. And I photographed him like years later at the I think it was like the Birch Hill, maybe.
The Birch Hill.
Yeah, or it was one of those clubs in New Jersey.
God.
I know I shot Ronnie there with when he came out soloing.
So this is Rainbow with
Joe Lynn Turner.
Joe Lynn Turner. But of course, Roger Glover's playing bass,
right.
and Bobby Rondinelli's playing drums. This is pretty great lineup, man.
Yeah, it is.
Pretty
and
great.
It was a night concert because during the day I had to photograph a festival down in Philadelphia at the JFK Stadium, and that show featured like Huey Lewis, Joan Jett.
Is that the Joan Jett, Huey Lewis, Foreigner? Is that the Foreigner show?
Yeah. And
that's
Kinks.
That's one of those things. Looking back, it's like, wow, Foreigner, the Kinks, Joan Jett, Hughes filled JFK Stadium.
Right, and so it was one of those things where I decided to do 2 shows in one day. And at the time, I had a lot of ticket connections. I was selling tickets myself through a broker who I met working in Collector's World in Bergenfield, and he would give me tickets to sell for him. And so I just happened to have tickets for both events. So I went to JFK Stadium the night before, camped out in front of the door. When the doors opened, I headed right down to the front of the stage, and I stayed there until, I don't know, like 4:30 or something like that in the afternoon while the Kinks were on. And I was able to get out of there. I had to get dressed all over again because shit was getting spilled on me as I was leaving and all. And I ended up getting up and having front row in front of Blackmore at the Garden. And so in the book, you see the photos of Richie, and I'm like right in his direction, photographing him. And he was like one of my earlier guitar heroes, like Hendrix and all. So I wanted to get the best shots I could. I knew he was crazy when it came to his guitar. And in the next pages, you'll see him shoving a guitar into a Marshall stack that went on fire. Unfortunately, I had black and white film at that moment because I shot color, during the day, and then at the Garden with the Scorpions, and then part of the show with Rainbow. And then I was using the black and white film to capture what he was smashing the guitar up, shoving into the Marshall amp, which I've never seen one go on fire before. And then Then after he takes the guitar all broken up, he ends up throwing it right at me. And I was able to capture the wire, and I ended up wrapping it around my arms. And everyone's trying to tug on it, and people were saying, "Oh, he's got it, he got it." And then, like, when everyone let go, the wires just kind of made this like looks like a burning redness on my arms, because everyone was trying to pull on me from both ends because the wires broke up, and the guitar pieces were like in other people's hands because he broke it up in several pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I got to take a sponsor break, but I think it's fair to say that we're going to sort of breach the wall next, and we're going to talk a little bit about something that I find really interesting, which is the whole Old Bridge Militia, and we're going to talk some Metallica and some Johnny Z in that era as well. So I'm going to take a sponsor break, and I'm going to do a bit with Women of the Pit. We'll see you guys back here in about 10 minutes, okay?
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's right. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. And our guests today are Frank White and Alan Tecchio. They have a book out called Jersey Metal, and lots to talk about on today's show. We'll be right back after these messages.
Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey guys, Vlad from Organic Grill. As you can see, we're in new location on West 3rd Street, right by Blue Note and Comedy Central. The place is bigger, kitchen is bigger, we have more varieties, more food. We are looking forward to treat you guys with great dishes. All Hardcore Chronicles, welcome to Organic Grill. We are going to serve all the events as we usually do, and we are happy to see you guys.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles.
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
Video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young reader section here for like 10 and under. Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars! We are New York Hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
And we're back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. Often imitated, never duplicated. Hey, let's bring some of our friends on. Let's bring on Lori and Gina. What's up?
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you? I'm enjoying the show so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Gina, are you busy?
I am, but I'm going to go too.
All right.
So while she's getting to her spot, I have a little show and tell.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this is Overkill doing the Subhuman song cover. This is a EP that came out in the 80s. I think this is 86 or 87.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool because like Overkill has some punk roots, you know. They came out of a band called Lubricants.
Oh, that's nice.
My.
Yes, the bassist and the drummer, the original drummer. So it was Dee Dee Verney, the bassist, and Rat Skates, the drummer. They came out of a punk band to go on to form, Overkill. And yeah, one of my favorite thrash bands. So
I kept on waiting for them to talk about the Capitol Theater. Maybe you guys just didn't get up to that part yet.
Well, there's so much in this book.
So much history, yeah.
I mean, this thing is like, this has got a lot of weight to it, and there's a great picture of the Capitol. So we'll it's just we could do 3 shows with these guys.
Yeah.
But hey, we got something going down this weekend, right?
Yep. So that's a really cool punk art show going on Saturday night with none other than Masato, who does the posters for us, the Barry Electric.
Yep.
That's over at Senna Tattoo. They had a little pop-up over there before. They have he's displaying, what is he putting up? All the art from all the different artists this week?
Yes.
Yeah. It's going to be a whole art exhibit. The opening night is this Saturday. I'm flying back on Saturday morning so I can attend it.
Nice.
It's down on what's the name of the
it's Senna Tattoo. I forget the street.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Senna Tattoo.
So and this is like an international art exhibit with people from Japan, Europe, some New York artists. I think Mike Gallo is in there wearing his sweatshirt.
Mike Gallo's in there. Stephen Huey's in there.
Right.
Gary Gilmore, the flyer artist. So a lot of our friends are in there. And then that's really the warm up, because the next day is the big banger. Women of the Pit present with GBT and the New York Hardcore Chronicles the holiday slamboree. Two stages, 7 bands, free all ages. So this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
Well, the cool thing about that too is a lot of people just saw that new mural that was put up, the Bad Brains mural that's around the corner, and everybody's all excited to go see that. So as they're going to see that, they can come to our show.
Yes, come stop by.
Hey,
Like,
you know what we need to do? I don't know if you heard, but we need to take a big like Sunday matinee group picture in front of this thing.
Yeah, we just have to go early enough so we get the sunlight.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that is incredible. It's so good.
Yeah, we got to do it up. So we'll figure out like in between what bands, and we'll make the announcement, and we'll make it happen.
That'll be awesome. And we'll be there. We got our new merch. We're going to be
all the merch.
Selling merch for One Simple Wish, which is a charity that grants wishes to foster kids. So the need is always greater around the holidays. And we'll have like a little gifty for you too. If you pick up something at our merch table, you'll get a little sticker and patch and pin thing there. So yeah, we'll be all set.
Those little gifts will go to anybody who buys anything to support.
Yes, and it'll be a cool little festive day for all of us.
I think it's going to be a great day. I mean, we put a lot of work into this. All the bands are really excited. It's 2 stages. This is our community. This is not to sound corny, but like this is people are excited. This is our community. This is our thing. This is going to be great.
Yeah, this is our end of the year family party.
Yeah,
it is a family party. I've heard a lot of people talk about Barry Electric, and they say it has total CB's vibes, that small community, and it's just, it's our family. Like,
well, we work hard to make it happen like that. I mean, I have for a long time to sort of create an environment that harkens back to those matinees where everybody can come. It doesn't matter who's playing. And that's what it is now. It doesn't matter who's playing. People come and hang out, and be a part of it and just.
And the all ages is important too, right? Like it's not 21 and up.
And God knows that I deal with enough bullshit because of these friggin' underage kids. Hey, here's a couple of other ones I want to mention.
They keep it interesting.
A couple other things going on. The show, there's not going to be a January show at the Bowery Electric. I'm skipping January because my film is doing the festival circuit and I have to attend some of the screenings.
Okay.
But we'll be back February 12th with Shutdown. That's happening.
Yeah.
And now Sunday, March 5th, this show's about to be announced. You hear it here first. Sunday, March 5th at the Bowery Electric, free all ages Sunday matinee. Two-man advantage playing their first show in 5 years. Enziguri, non-residents, Fuck It, I Quit, and Iconicide.
I'm looking
So
forward to that one. I'll be
Love
in.
Enziguri.
that's a good one. And then Go was announced for
Look at
first.
that.
Yep.
First Go show in
A very long time.
in a very long time. And then, we're playing with the Go Bordello.
I'm very excited and looking forward to that too.
Highwayman.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know about this hardcore highwayman thing. It's Walter Schreifels, Jesse Malin, and Eugene Hutz. It's sort of like like Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and Willie Nelson. They do their thing. Yeah. So
It's great.
yeah.
The energy at those shows is just off the hook.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to play. Yeah. Yes. Two-man advantage hasn't played in years, so they're coming together because they want to play. They want to play one of these shows. So this is going to be very cool.
They're a fun band too.
Yeah, and here we go. This is Saturday night, and this is Sunday. Everybody's welcome. Come on down. We're going to take the big picture. Yeah, Debo, I'll send you. I haven't even announced these shows yet. I'll send you the flyers, man.
Debo.
Yeah, I just happened to be in that weekend, so that worked out great for me.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I love the commercial you did with Debo and the New York Hardcore Comic Show.
I always crack up every time I hear that. It's like,
always brings a smile to my face.
It's great. I'm glad I did them. Now actually when the commercials play, I could stand up. I used to have to sit for 2.5 hours. I could stand up a second and
stretch.
Yeah, I don't know how you
take a water break.
At first it was tough, but I have a routine now. So hold on. I got to plug something in. Hold on.
Routine. Oh no, we're on our own. We're taking over.
The big takeover.
Ask us anything.
I want to talk about the time I snuck into the Capitol Theater to see Metallica. There was a side door, and the bouncers back then hated us because we were those kids.
Well, let's bring these guys on. And
Let's
bring on Alan and
enjoying the show so far. It's great.
Thanks.
Hello.
So special request from the gals about the Capitol Theater in Passaic. Alan, can you give us any perspective on this what's a good way to describe it? Sordid venue or legendary venue?
Frank's got better stories than me. I mean, there was a time where people were breaking into cars and his friend got beat up and whatever. I remember seeing Halloween there. I guess was it Megadeth and Armored Saint? That was
I saw that show. I was there.
Yeah, that was a great show. That was cool. And I lived right down the street in Clifton.
Who headlined that show?
Was it Megadeth, I guess?
Yeah.
Frank, you remember?
I didn't see Megadeth at the Capitol. I saw Armored Saint at the Capitol a couple times. I saw it on the Hell on Wheels tour.
Yeah,
and
that was Grim Reaper, right? Grim Reaper.
With Grim Reaper, right?
Yeah,
and they played another show. I'm just trying to think. I have them we have them in the book.
It was such a sketchy area that there was always something happening.
The Capitol Theater was an interesting place because it was almost like. Go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Frank.
It was a porn theater during the day. They had an adult theater, and and then at night it became a concert venue.
Wow.
The Capitol had some big shows because a lot of times if a big band was playing like in the city, it was almost like the stopover before you played the city. So like I think the Rolling Stones played the Capitol. I think the Grateful Dead, the Who, like these are bands like the fucking Who played the Capitol like at their peak. It was it was an interesting, big sloping venue, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I would only go there if my friend Neil drove. Like I would never drive there with my friends.
I don't think the Capitol had a balcony. I think it was just one long sloping kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
recall.
I was in like I was like in, I think, almost like the last row for Rush and the Stars.
Ooh,
back in
good
'79.
one.
We were like at the very last row, I believe, and it was just like one whole continuous slope of seats that went right down to the front of the stage.
You know who I saw at the Capitol? I saw the Jerry Garcia band and wait, you know, Dr. John opened up. So Dr. John Dr. John
I saw Jerry Garcia band back then too.
Yeah. Dr. John came out with the whole headdress and like the voodoo stick, and he came out with like Iko, and it was like, wow, you know.
I think I saw him around Halloween, Jerry Garcia there.
I
remember because I took a photo of a pumpkin that was on the stage.
That was that year. I think that was the same year. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I have photos that will probably end up going somewhere eventually.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about this. I want to talk a little bit about the Old Bridge Militia and kind of, you know, this is sort of a legendary crew. For the uninitiated, Alan, could you explain what the Old Bridge Militia was?
Well, initially they were just a bunch of metalheads that, you know, definitely, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, turned Johnny Z on to a lot of metal bands that he wasn't so hip to. And they weren't called the Old Bridge Militia back then. They were just the Old Bridge Crew.
Well, I mean, they didn't have a name for themselves until the guys from Metallica, you know, I think it was gave it to them because
they thanked them on the first record. And dubbed that name for them. So they've just been integral to that scene. I mean, they would come out in force to all the gigs like a gang, you know?
Yeah. And these shots here, I like members of the Old Bridge Crew with Metallica and Dave Allison from Anvil at Metal Joe's Funhouse. My question is Metal Joe still around?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, he's actually he's doing some stuff for us right now, and he's involved as well as you know, Ray. He gave us some information for the book and you know, for other stuff coming up. So you know, we're very thankful to those guys. They let us use some of the photos off their website, and very helpful, and been, you know, friends with these guys, you know, since the early days. But I just didn't become a member of the militia. I kind of was sort of like doing things on my own, and you know, over years I would run into him at different kind of shows that were happening around the New Jersey, New York area.
And here's Slayer in his basement, right?
Yes, it was a rented house.
Oh, it was a rental. Okay,
right.
Just a party house, a total party house.
Yes, exactly.
What about Maria, Metal Maria? Wasn't she part of that crew?
Yes, she was, but she wasn't in any of those photographs.
I am like looking for her.
She's in a photo in Johnny Z's house when I went to Johnny Z's house to cover the. We were doing a story on Johnny Z and Megaforce Records, and she just happened to be there working with Johnny back then.
Dude, I love that. I love that Hanneman shot. I'm a motorcycle guy, and the dirt bikes in the background are just priceless.
Yeah.
And those photos were taken by the road manager of the band.
And all these pictures, like everybody looks like they're having the best time. You know?
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
You got Slayer in your basement.
Yeah.
I'm the singer for Blessed Death.
And I love the pictures with the guns. Like this is like this is like the old, like, you know, put a bunch of guns in a bunch of like teenagers' hands. It's like
that was upstairs from the basement area, and those two photos on top were taken by Kevin Hodap, who ended up just photographing the band upstairs with the guns and the crossbows, and then he decided to leave. And so when Slayer played downstairs in the basement, the road manager whipped out a camera and started taking some of these photos that you see.
Amazing.
The singer for Blessed Death is in the background of Araya and that other shot that you had up a second ago.
Yeah.
Metal Joe is like right there in the middle.
Yep.
And Ray Dill is right next to him.
Yeah, Ray Dill's right to his left.
Yep.
What a time.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Women of the Pit, thanks a lot. Gina,
you.
you want to shout anybody out? We'll see you on Sunday.
I want to shout out everyone who's coming out on Sunday to our party, to our show. We are going to have a blast. It's going to be an all-day of fun. So come down and hang with us. We look forward to seeing you then.
When's that photo going to happen?
It's going to happen in the afternoon. Come down.
Like around what, 4 o'clock, let's say?
No, it'll be before then. It'll be around. Yeah, I'd say 4 because the first band's at 3, about 4. Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to come out? You guys should come down. It's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds real interesting. I haven't been to a hardcore show for a long time.
I would totally love to do that. And I would love
if you come, man, it's like it's a real hangout, man. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know,
I actually, because you were talking about doing a photo in front of that big mural, and on a hardcore Sunday, and so years ago, I did the same thing, but I did it with Murphy's Law for their second album, Back with a Bong.
With the car and all the kids.
Right.
My friends are in that picture.
Yep. Thank you. They ended up asking me to take a photo of everybody in front of CBGB's with their car, and I stood like right in the middle of the Bowery there. And I took a whole bunch of photos using a box camera, and they picked one for the back cover. And so this is sort of like repeating that, only across the street in front of a mural. You know?
Is that? Hold on. I think I got it. Hold on. I just pulled it off the internet. Hold on. Is that this photo? Wait, hold on.
Well, it was on the back cover of their album, right? So
Back with the Bomb.
Car and all the kids are just all piled onto it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. This isn't. I didn't get a good grab on it, but this is it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. Sorry. That's like I just grabbed it. Just,
that's cool.
Yeah. But Laura, you want to shout anybody out?
Just shout out to Masato and Tomoki and their art show on Saturday night, all the artists participating. So I can't go, but I'll be there in spirit. So I'm taking the ferry in that day.
The ferry.
And shout out to your dad too, Drew.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love and prayers.
Thank you so much.
Definitely.
I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, Lori.
Right.
Bye, Gina.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Right on. So, let's continue our march. Another page that caught my eye is members of Metallica and Prey backstage at the Fountain Casino. I was looking at these shows that Metallica was playing when they were on the East Coast in that era, and they were just playing like Fountain Casino and the Show Place, and they I guess they were over when they were over here. They played like a bunch of places.
Yeah, all small places because when people were just starting to hear about them, and there was a buzz going around, and that tape trading thing was happening, and they wanted to get the word out, and so they came with their band. It was just Dave Mustaine, Lars, James, and Cliff, and they played a few shows in the area until they had to get rid of Dave Mustaine, and then Kirk Hammett came in, and he started their first show together at the Show Place in Dover.
This is interesting. This Fountain Casino show is Twisted Sister and Metallica.
Right.
That's kind of great.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And of course, Twisted was really big at that time, and the Fountain Casino was the perfect place for this kind of event. So I'm glad we were able to get a few photos from the photographers from this show.
GXH and the world. Says Prey, never heard of them. I'm not familiar with this band Prey as well. Is that a Jersey band?
Yes.
Okay.
They were
book
friends
really
of the
covers-
guys from the Militia, and they ended up getting some shows through with Johnny Z and the Militia and all. And they were around for a little while.
And the book covers bands that are like real big, like the big bands you're seeing here, as well as some very obscure bands from Jersey too.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things I really love about the book is that you really get into the weeds, and a lot of times on the show I ask, like, when I have a guest, I'm like, any unsung heroes from that era, like, and one thing I really love about the book is that you really put the shine on some unsung heroes, like some bands that really, put in work and we're really kind of like, local superstars that have sort of been lost in the shifting sands of time. I love how they get, I love how they get shine in the Jersey metal book,
Thank you.
I'll tell you real quick. I do swim officiating, which is why I can't go to that show Sunday for my son. But another swim official that bought this book for me a few meets back, he brought it to Thanksgiving, and his wife's uncle was there, and his wife's uncle was in the Godspeed that was from New Jersey in the 70s, not the Godspeed from the 90s.
Yeah.
He's in the book, and he freaking lost it, and so he ended up buying a book as a result of it, and he's just reliving his whole past,
Yeah, I mean, like,
why we put everybody in the book.
You know who gets love in your book? Like TT Quick.
Big time.
That's good shit, man.
Big time.
And I'm just sort of I'm just leafing through, but TT Quick, comes up a lot. Metallica, Johnny Z gets a lot of love. Let's see, a lot of the usual suspects, but like we said, Harlot is a band I really didn't. Oh, you know what caught my eye that I really enjoyed because I love this era of Motorhead was the Motorhead era when Brian Robertson was playing with them.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my favorite Motorhead record. I love that record.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So really good stuff. Yeah. So I guess we talked about Dio a bit. It's interesting because I was just listening to Dio today. I'm driving my dad's car in Florida that has a cassette player in it, and,
Awesome.
and so me and my gal, we went to like the Salvation Army here, and we went, and we went and they have cassettes. We were like, we need music, so we went to the Salvation Army, and we, in the corner in the back, there's like cassettes. And we grabbed a bunch of cassettes, and it was a bunch of metal stuff. We got like, Motley Crue, and Dio. And I was listening to Dio today, and I was listening to Vivian Campbell playing with Dio today. And I was thinking to myself, he was great with Dio.
Mm-hmm.
He was
perfect fit.
Yeah, he was great, man.
I especially like the solo to Invisible. It's just one of the coolest solos, man.
Yeah.
That's the first album,
Yeah. He really put in some good work with Dio, and I know there was drama later and whatever, but just musically, artistically speaking, Vivian Campbell really did some great guitar work with Dio.
Oh yeah.
And I love Frank. That's you on the top right with Ronnie, right?
Yeah, that was the first time I met Ronnie in person. Yeah, I was backstage after the show at the Meadowlands.
It's nice that you had the perspective to document that stuff, Frank?
Yes. I was doing this for a bunch of years before that happened. So it just kept rolling along. Every chance I had to photograph a show, I made sure I had some film left over for afterwards in case, I'd have a backstage pass from one of the magazines. Because back in those days, I was working for like Guitar World, Rock Fever, Kick-Ass Monthly, and
Kick-Ass Monthly.
Then I was working with like Hit Parader and Circus and Cream. So I had a lot of different outlets giving me photo pass assignments to capture whatever I could get in the amount of time that they allowed us to shoot.
Yeah. See, you know what? This one caught my eye too because it's just a testament to how in that moment, in that era, you know, bands like Rat had like a moment, and like here they are headlining the Meadowlands Arena. You know, it's like Rat was headlining the Meadowlands Arena with Bon Jovi opening before Bon Jovi broke big.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, I remember
And we
this.
put them in the book too.
Yeah. Yeah, this is you know, this is when, like, you know, it just goes to the power of MTV. A band like Rat was riding high on like the music video, you know, Round and Round, and they were huge. They were huge for 6 months, like huge, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always liked Rat songs. I mean, there's a lot of songs on their records that I'm a fan of them. You know, just it's, I guess, the way the music hits certain people, and I just enjoy them when they come on the radio, man.
You know, Warren DeMartini's great.
Huge fan.
Yeah,
He's great, and also I did a music video with Stephen Piercy years later. I got a chance to work with him. Paulie Porkchop says, I saw that tour at the Nassau Coliseum. Bon Jovi blew Rat away that night. Okay. Yeah.
They also, Bon Jovi also opened up for the Scorpions in the '84 tour. I went to see that a couple times.
Stephen Piercy first Rat albums are the best. Yeah. Stephen Piercy was at it for a long time before Rat broke. You know, he had Mickey Rat and all that. He was running at it for a while. Rat just didn't get together and you know, make it overnight. But yes, Rat, Dokken, best glam metal. Okay, good. What else we got here? Oh yeah, well this is interesting. You know, Alan, tell us about Ray Gillen and sort of like, who's Ray Gillen?
So Ray Gillen, Frank was closer with him than I was. I only met him a couple times, but he was a guy from New Jersey. He was in a whole bunch of cover bands. I would say he arguably had the best metal voice to ever come out of New Jersey. I mean,
and I saw you mention that in the book. That's why.
Soul beyond soul, and range that was just stratospheric. You know what I mean? Really, really great singer. I got a big ego boost one time after I did the first Hades 45, which was the Cross Widow's Might. And I was walking across 8th Street in Manhattan with Dan Lorenzo, our guitar player, and Ray happened to be crossing the street the other way. And we started chatting, and Dan knew him. And he's like, "Oh, you're the guy on that 45?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "You got a great voice, man." And for him to tell me that just made, like, not my night, it like made my year, you know?
Yeah.
It was so cool. But he went on to do a lot of different stuff. He was in Sabbath for a little while, like you saw those photos. He was in Badlands with Jakey Lee. He was in Rondinelli. You mentioned Bobby Rondinelli before, but they had the band Rondinelli before he was in any of those bands, in between his cover band thing and as he kind of ascended as a singer in the ranks of metal, you know.
Frank, any perspective on Ray Gillen?
I just loved how he sang. He was a great front man. He started playing in little local bands called F66, was kind of punkish. Then it moved on to like Messiah, and then he was in Vendetta and Harlot. And this was the time period where he was really showing his, showmanship, his voice. It was just, he was now like in that realm of wanting to be in a much bigger venue than the clubs. He was outgrowing the clubs with his voice and his stage presence. And so he was actually invited to sing for the band while they had their other singer on stage with them. He was doing he was trying out for the band at a hotel in New Jersey. And then
was that Tony Martin?
Glenn Hughes. Glenn
Hughes. Yeah. And then within a week later, he was playing his first show, which was at the New Haven Coliseum in Connecticut.
Wow.
And that's from that show.
Wow. And I don't know if he demoed stuff out with Sabbath, but he demoed stuff out with Sabbath, but they never, I think he ended up leaving, or I don't know exactly. He left. What the reason was.
Him and Eric Singer quit, from what I understand, which I don't
Eric
understand
Singer was
why that
right.
was.
Eric Singer was, yeah.
But those recordings did come out. They re-released the Eternal Idol, which
Right.
Tony Martin sings on, with Ray singing, and they just call it like alternate versions of the songs.
Right.
And they're really, really good. And I think honestly, Ray does a much better job than Tony Martin. No offense to Tony Martin, but Ray just has more of a real soul to it,
Yeah, Kevin Gartland says Badlands were a great rock band that got lumped in with the quote unquote hair metal thing, but they were much better than that.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's good.
That's cool. What? Yeah. So I guess what kind of just to regress. Yeah, Glenn Hughes, Deep Purple, Trapeze. Glenn Hughes. Stormbringer. Come Taste the Band. Yeah,
dude, and now Black Country Communion. I mean, that guy's unstoppable.
Yeah.
Unstoppable.
He still sounds great.
Sounds amazing.
He sounds great. He's like 70
He
years
looks
old.
great too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guy definitely takes care of himself. When you're a front man, it's what you got to do.
I thought this was interesting. This was sort of like you mentioned it in the book as sort of like these bands were waning. And I thought this was like an interesting representation of those sort of like glam type bands, Frenchie, Crank, and Monroe, that I guess at this point were sort of being sort of phased out. Is that right, Frank?
Yeah, these bands were definitely caught the hair metal wave, and they all wanted to try to make it really big, and they were doing their best to do that and enjoying the rock star lifestyle, but only on a club scene level. And Monroe, who started like in the mid 70s, they were moving along. Their lead singer, Billy Monroe, he was like another version of Steven Tyler. Had the moves, was able to do splits in the air, spins, just like a fabulous frontman. And Crank, I never got to see personally. And those photos came from another photographer. And Frenchie, I happened to see, I think once or twice back then. And they were out to, get the women, get the music out to the people and try to, make it big and go on to the next step to make a record. Monroe, they did a video that was on a channel no longer around called U68.
Oh yeah,
and it was filmed in their in Billy's hometown of Fairlawn. Also, Frenchie did a video in I believe it was Staten Island. I don't know what Crank did. I wasn't too up on them, but they were all around that same time period.
Yeah,
they all didn't make it to the point that they should have made it to. They kind
Thrash
of
was starting to take over big time too at this point.
Yeah, it was sort of like the life, the scene was changing, where the more grittier, heavier, speedy sound kind of bands were starting to filter in, and these guys were kind of like heading either breaking up or just going on to other things, and that's what happened to those bands. But now Billy happens to be back out there with Billy Monroe and the Soul Survivors, still kicking it, but he's kicking it on a club level.
And he still looks great. He still looks great. That guy definitely signed a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
Love Billy.
Hey, a guy like that.
And he runs a tattoo shop called Screaming Ink in Fairlawn.
Oh, right on. A guy like that just loves music, man. He just wants he just wants to play music. Here's a shot that Frank, you were gracious enough to license. We used this shot in the film I directed, Who the Fuck Is That Guy? The Fabulous Journey of Michael Alago. And it was such a perfect shot for that point of the film, because Alago signs, Metallica to Elektra Records, and they do sort of they do Master of Puppets. That was really Alago's, big moment is Master of Puppets.
Definitely.
What was the background here, Frank? In a situation like this, do you get a call? Hey, could you come up and document this? How does a situation like this work?
Well, I met Michael previous to that meeting at a show. So that was a photographer. He started talking to me. And then I think I was working with a bunch of different magazines, and one of them said, hey, you know, Metallica is doing this presentation, getting a gold record. They asked me to go up, and Michael was there, and I was the only photographer in the room. And back then, no one had cell phones, so I'm glad I was the sole photographer. And I believe I shot a few other photos, you know, because a shot like that, I wouldn't just take one. But that was the only one I ended up having in my file cabinets because, you know, back then when I was shooting slides, and you would give out slides to magazines or other places, and sometimes not all the photos would come back. So I just happened to have that one that just happened to come back, and I was able to use that over the years for many different, requests.
Right on.
Including your documentary with Michael.
Yeah, that was.
And I had to have it in this book as well.
Yeah. Let me take my last sponsor break and shout out a couple sponsors and take care of some business, and we'll come back and let's take some questions from around the world. All right?
Great.
Cool.
That's right. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles live, and our guests today are Frank White and Alan Tecchio. They have a book out called Jersey Metal, and we're going deep. Any questions you have, please post them up. We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, DTFM Vinyl Distro, and Grunge and Grime Soap Company. They're a handmade soap and skincare company with a rock and roll spirit. Based in Nashville, Tennessee, they combine their love for rock music and their love for creating products that are good for your skin and good for your soul. Since 2019, they've been creating high-quality, natural, handmade soaps and skincare products with ethically sourced and sustainable ingredients. They give 10% of their net proceeds to local and community outreach programs. Visit the website at www.grungeandgrime.com and enter the code DREW to get 20% off your first order. Come on now, last but not least, 126 Hardcore Clothing is a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They are about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Don't care what you may say, we got that attitude. Get in touch with them, ramp up your game at www.126hardcoreclothing.com. Hey, I want to mention some shows that are coming up. There's no show on Sunday because we have the Holiday Slamboree going on at the Bowery Electric. Free all ages matinee this Sunday. A week from today, we will be back with Matt Warnke from Bold and Crippled Youth. Couple days after that is the holiday episode. Everybody's invited. We're going to have all kinds of special guests. This is actually happening on Christmas Day. First day of 2023. Our first guests will be the band that I used to manage, Fury of Five. They have a new single, War, coming out. The whole band's coming on the show. It's going to be a blast. Wednesday, January 4th, Old School DC Hardcore Represent with Rob Moss, Artificial Peace Government Issue. Wednesday, January 11th, Paul Rossier. I am co-hosting this show. I enjoy doing it once in a while with Joel Ghostin. This should be a cool one. And John LaFada is January 15th. Brian Harris of Death Before Dishonor is January 22nd. And I have not announced this show yet. This is an interesting character, a guy that hasn't been around for a long time. But if you were around back in the day, you know who he is. Sunday, February 19th, Vinny Vitale, the original drummer and songwriter for Marauder, will be on the show. He wrote a lot of that early material, the Master Killer stuff. This is a guy that has been out of the mix for years. I used to manage Marauder also. This is a guy that was there back in the day. This is going to be a cool show with an old friend, Vinny Vitale from Marauder, on Sunday, February 19th. So that said, I also want to mention the show needs support. Hope you can support the show. There is a Patreon page. There it is. I want to shout out a couple of new patrons. That would be Anthony Mio, Mio TV, Mike Reed, Susan Anton, Sam C., and Frankie Tires 13. Thank you so much for supporting the show. It's your support that enables the show to happen. Please, there is a Patreon page there. We put all kinds of exclusive material up on Patreon. There's a PayPal address there. If you want to make a donation, please support the show. What else? If you're watching the show in rerun, there is a subscribe button right there. Please subscribe to the show. And also, if by some chance you are not following on Instagram, please, it's at Stone Films NYC on Instagram. Pick up the friggin' phone, dial it in, Stone Films NYC on Instagram. Find out what's going on with this show. There's the Patreon address. Please support the show. Also, there is a super chat function. If you want to ask a question, we're taking questions from around the world now. If you do a super chat for a couple of bucks, it comes through in color. I can't miss it. You go to the front of the line. I think I covered everything. Yeah. Well, thank you, Kevin. And please continue to support the show. Yes, Minus Days. Absolutely. That's Vinny Vitale was in the band with Minus, you know. Hey, Busky. Busky, I need to talk to you, man. I see you have a book out, Busky. You have to come on. Let's talk about your new book. Busky has a lyric book out. And so Busky of the Hard Corner with Hoya. Busky, I was going to reach out to you today, actually. So, you have to come on, push your book, bro. Help me help you. Let's sell some of those books. So that said, yes, Stone Films. That's my company, bro. That said, I think we covered everything. I think we covered anything. Questions for our guests, please post up. New Jersey Metal. Let's clear the deck. That's my dad's house phone ringing, by the way. Old school house phone my dad still has. So that said, thanks, Sean. It's a great show as you. Hey, we do great show. At this point, 230 shows into it, let's clear the deck. Let me clear everything out. Okay. That said, let's bring our guests back on. Frank White, Alan Tecchio. There you go. Sorry about that. I got a little shook. The house phone started ringing.
Old school.
It's like, Dad, why do you have the house phone? Nothing good ever comes on the house phone, Here's a question from our resident graffiti historian, RS70. First show you went to? Alan, you go first. Frank, first show you went to?
It was Led Zeppelin on February 12th, 1975.
Wow.
Which is in the book, of course.
Alan?
So for me, it would have to be Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, the Screaming for Vengeance tour.
Where was it?
That was at the Garden.
Wow.
I was at that.
Wow. What year was that Scream? What was that, 82?
I think 82.
Yeah.
In fact, during that show at the Garden, but I also saw the show at the Palladium that year. So Clive Burr was with them. Yep. So I sold a photo of Clive Burr from the Palladium, and then a photo of Bruce Dickinson with Dave Murray, and also a photo of Eddie to the new Beast Over Hammersmith Iron Maiden triple vinyl album that came out.
Did you ever see Iron Maiden with Paul Di'Anno?
Yes, once, and it's in the book.
Right on.
When they played 81 at the Palladium with Judas Priest.
Wow. Right.
Yeah, they were opening.
Let's see. What do we got here? You know what? Let's touch on this a second. GXS. Any grindcore or death metal bands mentioned in the book, or any Jersey stories. Alan, I know, doing a book like this, you have to make some hard decisions. And like how did you sort of, I know there's not a lot of hardcore touched upon in the book. And there was hardcore stuff going on. I'm not faulting you for it. I'm just saying hardcore was part of it. And also, there's no mention of the Misfits that I saw. Hard decisions that had to be made, Alan?
Frank and I both, kind of pined over this, figuring out who we're going to include and not include. So we tried to avoid punk. Misfits to us were definitely more of a punk kind of band.
Right.
So yeah, we had to make some cuts here and there. And I know we probably inadvertently forgot some bands anyway, because there were so many bands, but not a lot of grindcore. Sorry, my thing's going off here.
All right.
Not a lot of grindcore that I can think of. Frank, am I missing anything with that?
Well, we wanted to cover all the bands that we knew of that was making some kind of scene out there for everybody. And we have the second and third volume to go. So we could add other things like the crossover bands, that did, hardcore and thrash and, and so it'll definitely get heavier in the next book for sure.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So, we're trying to keep the title Jersey Metal within that kind of realm of bands that fit that title. But we can throw in a few things here or there. I kind of want to put in, like, what I was thinking about was when, like, the hardcore scene kind of came in, around the same time the thrash scene was happening. So I have some cool photos, let's say, of City Gardens, where I have a whole bunch of skinheads that fill up the entire dance floor. I was thinking about putting that in, it was at, I forget the show it was at, but, I shot Suicidal there. I shot Guar there, Danzig.
Nuclear Assault?
No, I shot like Murphy's Law. Nuclear Assault I photographed at a few other places. I don't think I have any photos of them from that. I also shot the Mentors. I was with the Mentors at City Gardens. That was pretty incredible.
I was just looking. I'm leafing through it. I didn't see it, but I could have sworn I saw it. And our good friend and supporter, Jonathan Buskey, says, would love to hear some thoughts and or commentary on one of New Jersey's gems, Whiplash. Rest in peace, Tony Bone. Didn't I see the Whiplash?
Yes.
Did I see a whip? I couldn't find it just now, but
we're gonna have more of them in the next book, because the first year that I photographed them, they were in that book, the first book. And there's a photo, like a stage photo, and then there's a shot of Tony playing drums. But in the next book,
Tony Bono for sure.
Yeah,
the next book will probably have some group shots that I photographed them, and they asked me to photograph for the album Ticket to Mayhem, and we had ideas about going to a carnival and kind of getting them in front of rides or whatever with all the lights behind them, and then someone came up with the idea that made the cover, which is a skeleton, with in a ticket booth, and so they asked me to come into New York City, down into the Lower East Side near CBGB's, and I photographed the band like in a basic metal junkyard, and one of the photos ended up on the back cover, and the company who produced the record put a red tint over the black and white photo, because I shot color and black and white, but I gave them everything to look at, and then they picked the one that they liked. And I was thinking about putting that same photo just as it appeared in black and white in the book.
We were just with Tony Portaro the other night. We were just with Tony Portaro the other night at Dingbats in Clifton.
Right on. Well, I can answer this one real quick. Is City Gardens still there? The building is falling apart.
Well,
people, the building is there. It's like an abandoned structure. People are going in and like tearing it apart and taking pictures. But I think the building
I was going to do the same thing.
I think the building's literally about to like literally fall on itself.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately,
yeah.
it's where money comes in. If someone had the money to make the repairs, maybe it could have been a good club again. But the way things are going, it looks like it's just going to fall apart unless someone does something about it. And so I was even thinking about taking a ride down there just to check out the building.
I saw some pictures the other day. It looks kind of dangerous. It looked
I'd
literally
probably just peer in the broken
it looks a little
part
dangerous.
of the building.
Yeah, Brian Macko says, check out the documentary that Steve Tazzi did. It's called Riot on the Dance Floor, The Story of City Gardens. Yes, I saw that. It was good.
They should have called me for photos.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have? Well, I like, you mentioned, this is the Born Again Sabbath tour and the Quiet Riot 82. This stuff's in the book, Quiet Riot, and also the Black Sabbath tour, the Black and Blue tour was Blue Oyster Cult and Black Sabbath. That was Ronnie James Dio singing for Black Sabbath, correct?
Right, 1980.
Yeah. And then after that was the Gillan tour.
Yes, and the Black and Blue tour, they produced a movie at Nassau Coliseum. It's just that my seats weren't up front; they were a little back further, 10th or 11th row, and with everybody wanting to be on camera, everyone's bodies and hands were in the air and throughout the whole entire show, and it was just impossible to get anything worthwhile. So I didn't take any photos of that particular time period with Ronnie. It was the following tour that I did.
I saw the Gillan show, and when they encored with Smoke on the Water, I saw that. It was okay. It was a little weird, but it was fine.
They did Supernaut on that tour, which I was so stoked for.
That's the record they need to remix, man. That
Probably
Born Again record is like, God forbid they find those tapes. That's a record that could use a nice remix. Here's a question from Gary Olfert. Great interview. Frank, at some point you stopped being just a fan taking photos. Was there a pivotal moment you remember when things changed up a level for you? Maybe a band or photo set opportunity?
Well, it's what we talked about earlier. When I sold my first professional photo to the magazine Relics of Jorma Kaukonen. After that, I said, I wanted to keep selling photos to magazines to start out with, because I had quite a collection up until that point from 75.
Sure.
So I just started contacting other magazines, and eventually I started selling photos. And this was something that really appealed to me as sort of like my next phase in my life, where I wanted to become a professional photographer. And this was the beginning of that. And then soon after I started selling photos to magazines, record companies started getting in touch with me about asking for photos for different things that they were putting together. Yeah. Like I did the Aerosmith Classic Live 2 record, where I have a photo on the back of that I shot at the Meadowlands.
Wow.
And it was at a show where they gave you like only the first few numbers to photograph, and then you had a ticket and you had to sit down and but I had my camera with me, and I wasn't supposed to take photos, but sometimes the best photos come after the third or fourth song, Right. And that's when I was able to get a shot that made it on the back of the record. It also ended up on a cassette, which I have here in my house, right on my shelf.
Let's talk about this guy for a second. And I'm assuming, I know this guy played heavy into the Jersey metal scene.
Yes, he did.
Alan, did you have a personal relationship with Johnny Z, or could you give us some perspective on Johnny's sort of influence on this whole thing?
I've been to Rock and Roll Heaven a couple of times, but Frank knew him. I didn't know Johnny Z personally.
Mm-hmm. I got to know Johnny early on when I would go to Rock and Roll Heaven at his the flea market down in East Brunswick, and I was kind of introduced to a lot of import records and different things that I couldn't find at other record stores at the time. And he was into working, getting shows together. And he obviously knew the guys from the Old Bridge Militia, who was bringing them, bringing ideas to them.
Sure,
and, I would meet his wife, Marcia. And then when I went to the house here, it was when I was doing an assignment for Rock Scene magazine.
I remember Rock
They asked me to photograph him around his house, in his office, and I met, I kind of knew Metal Maria before that, but this is when I saw her in a working position with Johnny and Marcia, and I just took whatever photos he allowed me to photograph. I photographed him there in his office and his living room with his Grateful Dead poster and symbols and other things that he had signed. And
he was a lover. He was a lover of the Grateful Dead, Johnny Z.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I like you and me. We both saw them, many times in the past.
I have they put on auction a lot of Johnny's stuff.
Right.
And I have a friend who's a big. He has a Grateful Dead radio show in Texas, right? Lone Star Radio.
Right.
He bid pretty much a minimal bid and ended up with one of Johnny Z's Grateful Dead gold records.
Wow. Oh, really? Well, it might be in the living room with one of the photographs that I shot, because I remember that's where he hung up some of his gold records.
Yeah.
From back then, and we didn't use we used several photos from inside the house. I don't know. I don't think we used one with his record collection, like gold records. But I tried to show the readers how his office looked in its state at the time when I visited, and how busy he looked. When I was there, and as you could see, he just has like all these different bands that he was working with on his walls, and
he was a passionate guy
visiting the Zazulas.
He was a passionate guy.
He was, and I got along with him. He liked my photography. He got me into a bunch of shows over time. I did the Spreading the Disease record. I have photos on the back of that. I worked with him on that one, and I worked, did other shows. I went to the 5-year anniversary show. I went to his other store that was in Clark, New Jersey, where he brought everything over from the flea market over to that store, and that also had a lot of in-store appearances. Yeah. And I was there a bunch of times while it was around.
Cool. Hey, let's wrap it up. And Alan, give us some perspective. Going ahead? So I know that the book is Jersey Metal, and this is volume 1, and it is available here, and it is available straight from the source. So if you are thinking about buying this book, buy it at www.jerseymetalbook.com, DIY style. Buy it from the source. Right, Alan?
That's right.
Absolutely.
So you could hump it to the post office.
I always do every day.
Frank and Michelle have been going every single day.
Yeah, I do.
I'll be going there tomorrow.
Yeah, cool. I've been doing it as well, but they're doing the lion's share of the orders for sure.
Moving forward, Alan, what are we looking at?
So the next book, I'm not sure what the timeline is. We're definitely, I would say, almost waist deep into the second book, which will be 87 to 04. And the final book being 05 to probably 2021. But it's definitely important to mention that this very first edition that we have, unfortunately, we have to reset and remove all of the ads that we had from the Aquarian in there, because they had originally given us access to all their archives and seemed to be totally cool about it, but we didn't get anything in writing. And once they saw how popular the book is kind of getting right now, because we're selling mad books every day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the reasoning, but they basically sent Frank an email saying that they don't want any future printings to include their stuff. So
this is really a limited rare edition.
Highly limited. Wow. So I don't even know how many books it is, maybe 1,000 or so books, but once they're gone, You will not be able to buy this version of the book again ever.
Right.
Out of respect for the fact that they don't want their stuff in there. So it's actually kind of a cool thing that they did, letting us into the archives, and an even cooler thing, even though it causes more work for me in the layout department and for Frank to reset it. But a lot of the photos now of the bands are going to get a lot more play.
Cool.
And there's a lot more breathing room. And I've already done about 55 to 60 pages reset, and it looks way better. You're going to miss the ads on some level, because they do touchstone for people with the logos and remembering certain venues. But we talk about all those venues and we talk about all those shows. So all the content is still there, and the bands are going to get, for instance, that Godspeed guy, my friend's wife's uncle. I made his photo way bigger because we have the room to do that now. So they're going to get a lot more imagery. It's going to be more of a photo-centric book, I think, and it'll be a plus.
We're going to have, and we'll have other photos. I mean, other ads in there as well. And maybe few passes,
flyers,
just to replace certain things that we have to, remove. And
isn't that how it goes? Sure.
Yeah, man.
Sure, you can use our stuff, no problem.
I know.
Oh, it's for a book?
Yeah.
Well,
they knew it was for a book. They knew what it was.
They knew all along what it was. They knew that we weren't just putting in a few. We were putting in photos throughout. In fact, it was going to be 69 to 2021. So we were looking at putting in ads throughout the whole entire thing. But then we decided to chop the book down into 3 volumes, and we only stopped at 86. So, we still have a timeline that we can go with, and then just continue on with the next book, using more flyers, some passes, some laminates from people, myself, my own collection, some more band interviews, photos that we get from them personally, and then from other photographers if we need. But most of the imagery is going to come from me.
And I got to say that the fact that, we're redoing the thing in this way, I just lost my thought. Something you just said, Frank.
It just gives you an opportunity to mix, to change it.
No. I remember what it was. Since we pulled ads throughout all of those years, like Frank said, we can't run the actual images of the ads, but we still have them for the purpose that we got them for, which is to timeline the book, because the book is month by month, year by year, as close to that as we could get. And we can still use all of those ads that we gathered just for the informational part of it and tell the same stories. We just can't put the actual image in, which is fine.
Sure. You live and you learn, man.
Yes, you do.
You live and you learn. So, hey, thanks a lot, fellas. That was really great.
Thank you, bro.
I really enjoyed having you on the show, and I wish you all the best with the book. And maybe, hopefully, I'll see. Are you guys going to do Chiller again?
I would, definitely.
I would love to, yeah.
Yeah, we know the owners. We know the people that put it on. So we should be there in April.
Is that Kevin? What's his name?
Yes.
Kevin.
And Eddie Micah is hugely influential for us.
Yeah. Kevin was the owner. He owned Chiller Theater, the store, back around 1990. But before that, he was in the same store with me at Collectors World in Bergenfield in 1978, selling music. And I was a big horror fan, and he was a big horror fan. We just didn't talk horror. We just talked music, because he saw that I was a photographer taking photos at shows, and he liked what he saw, and I liked the products that he was selling. And so we had a little bit of friendship going on there. And then one day he was no longer there, and some other guy named Jerry Rubino replaced him, and he was also selling music at the same location in the same spot. And he was the one who initially got my very first photo, printed in his local town of Secaucus, the newspaper that he was writing for. It was a Greg Lake show with Gary Moore. And so that was my very first photo that was printed in any kind of publication. And it was in a Secaucus newspaper. I wish it was in the Bergenfield, New Milford, Twin Borough News, but it just happened to be in Secaucus, which was in Bergen County, which was very cool. And so, I always thank him for that. He's in the book. A lot of other Jersey Metal fans.
Chiller Theater is the Chiller Con. We go. I did it once with Alago. It was great. We always go and see friends like you there. We enjoy it.
It's so much fun.
Yeah,
we
enjoy it.
It's a big family of horror loving fiends coming together.
Yeah, in Piscataway.
Parsippany.
Parsippany.
At the Hilton on Route 10.
Right, right. All right, fellas. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Drew.
You're welcome back anytime. I'll see you soon.
God bless.
Right,
Take
Cheers,
care.
guys.
Bye-bye, Alan. Bye-bye, Frank. Well, there you have it. Great show. Good guys, great show. You were watching the New York Hardcore Chronicles live. Good stuff. Good night, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you down at the Bowery Electric on Sunday for the Holiday Slamboree. And we're going to take the picture in front of the Bad Brains mural with everybody. If not, I will see you back here a week from today with Matt from Bold and Crippled Youth. If you're somewhere on the other side of the planet and you can't come down to the Bowery Electric on Sunday, thanks for all the good spirit regarding my dad. We're going to be moving him to a place. Hey, thanks, Lex 2000 Luther. Thank you, buddy. Glad you enjoyed it, man. It's a very metal show, you know. What's with that Limp Bizkit hat? No, Limp Bizkit hat was it's Nobody's Perfect, New York hardcore band. So there you go. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. Until next time, do good things and good things will come.